Audubon Everglades Central Palm Beach County Christmas bird count was held on a beautiful sunny Sunday on December 28th. It's the 126th anniversary of the Audubon Christmas bird count, which of course makes it the longest active citizen science initiative in the world. We have been conducting a count in our area for approximately the last 70 years, and I wonder if that's the longest local citizen science initiative. The incredible Chuck Weber, who was a longtime field trip coordinator for Audubon Everglades back when it was called Audubon Society of the Everglades. Remember those days? Who has been leading, coordinating, and compiling our local count for the past 19 years, is with us tonight to share the results of this year's effort. Chuck, thank you for joining us tonight, and you can share your screen and begin your presentation whenever you are ready.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it. And listen, we had a great day, and thank you for counting as well, Scott. It was a wonderful day, especially compared to our last year when we really had some pretty tough weather. Um, and For us here in South Florida, that is, we didn't have snow or ice like they have in the north, but we did have wind and rain, and so it was not ideal for birding. But this year, Sunday, December 28th, 2025, the West Palm Beach Christmas bird count was held, and we had wonderful conditions, really, especially compared to last year. And the top photo there is from Tom Smith, who spent the day out at Gulfstream Park over on the Barrier Island and got this beautiful shot of a bottlenose dolphin. And Tom informed me today they have split the bottlenose dolphin species. And so the bottlenose that we have close to shore here, he says, are Tamenin's bottlenose dolphin. And that is the species that he got a beautiful photograph. And I put this in because it shows that the waves were a little choppy, but overall we had very calm conditions out on the water. Not ideal for sea watching, but for the rest of us who were upland and inland, we experienced pretty good conditions, and so we had ideal weather for watching birds. And it got a little warm, but overall we did quite well also because we had these calmer conditions this year. And one of our count team members or one of our count teams down there in the bottom of the screen. I will try to, there we go. So the highlights here, we had two firsts on our count this year, which is really extraordinary. So the Bell's Vireo that you see here in the photos from Carl Edwards, this is the first time this bird has ever been recorded on our Christmas bird count. Bell's Vireo, and it's never been seen on count week either, which is pretty remarkable. Carl Edwards, Mary Dunning, and Therese Aubin got the Bell's Vireo in the area where they count underneath power lines out west of 441. It's one of the last kind of wild areas we have in our count circle, which is overall very heavily developed. They did a great job and got this bird, and these photos are from Carl. There was another first on our count this year, the Nashville Warbler. This was at Green Cay Wetlands. Linda Fell, Sherry Spitzer, Richard and Nancy Albert, and Will Shank got this bird and got a brief look at it for, they said, about 10 seconds in the southwest corner of the parking lot there at Green Cay. And they did a beautiful write-up of this bird. And so hopefully the state compilers will accept it. I'm convinced, and there was a Nashville warbler actually last year at Green Cay, off and on, not predictable by any means. They must have a larger winter territory. Nashville warbler has been seen 4 different times on count week for our CBC, but never on count day. So another big achievement here, and congratulations to those 2 count teams that really did a fantastic job coming up with these 2 first ever count day records, Bell's Vireo and Nashville Warbler. Another big species for a count, the second count record for Rufous Hummingbird. And the team of Dan O'Malley, Gavin Auerbach, Lauren Dawson Scully, they were at Seacrest Scrub at well, before dawn. I was going to say the crack of dawn. They were there before dawn, and in pre-dawn conditions, they got documentation of the rufous hummingbird. This is the second year in a row that the rufous hummingbird has been on our count, and we assume that this is the same bird that came back again. It started to show up like it did last year in late fall at Seacrest Scrub, and it has stayed through our Christmas count period, and we got it on count day again, thanks to Dan, Gavin, and Lauren. And again, that was something that they had to really work hard to get, because it was after they saw it bright and early before dawn, it took off. And at least some members of the team went back again later in the day, and they could not relocate. So it paid off being there at the crack of dawn. Another great bird for our count, the third time on our CBC, is the red knot. Gail Silverblatt got this picture. She and her husband Howard were there at 9th Avenue South in Lake Worth Beach. And this uh, red knot had been around off and on. Sometimes there had been two birds. And it also had been going back and forth between 9th Avenue South, the docks there, and the brand new islands in the Intracoastal Waterway that Palm Beach County Environmental Resources Management is constructing south of the Lake Worth Bridge. They're right across from each other. And it appears that these birds are going back and forth. So we weren't sure who would get this bird, if we would get it at all. But Gail did her usual fine job. And thanks to Gail and Howard for getting the red knot just the third time on our CBC. Another great bird here, only the fifth count appearance, Western Tanager. And this was seen at Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge near the Visitor Center. It was reported for the first time the day before the count. And then on count day, our count team of Kenny Miller, Kyle Matera, Justin Swain, and Kat Ugo got this bird, I think close to midday, or maybe even after midday, near the Visitor Center. And Kenny and Kyle got some wonderful pictures here of this beautiful bird. It helps if it's a beautiful bird, of course. And just the fifth time on our count, a very good bird anywhere in South Florida in the wintertime, but it definitely a great find for our count, and we appreciate their efforts out at Loxahatchee. Couple more great birds for our count. Only the sixth times on our CBC for Louisiana water thrush and Lincoln sparrow. Louisiana water thrush, the photo there from Nikki Breyer, was seen at Wakota-Hatchee. Also, our team at Green Cay got Louisiana water thrush. And I mentioned the names of the team members there: Jim Howe, Nikki Breyer, Kat Silver, Jessica Miller. They got this bird about 9 o'clock. Linda Fell, Sherry Spitzer, Richard and Nancy Albert, and Will Shank got Louisiana water thrush really early in the morning. Both places have reported Louisiana water thrush in recent weeks. And so both teams got Louisiana water thrush on count day. The big question for me as a compiler is this the same bird going between Green Cay and Wakota-Hatchee, or are they two different birds with different winter territories? Actually, either possibility could be the case. I've talked to a number of people, I've talked to a number of great birders locally, and there's a difference of opinion. It could easily be the same bird, or it could be different birds. Louisiana water thrush is a great bird here in South Florida in the wintertime. It's regular in migration, and they migrate early. So we see them more likely in migration, but in winter, it's very good. It's an excellent bird here anywhere in South Florida, but here in Palm Beach County, and only the sixth time on our count. Great work by the count teams at Wakota-Hatchee and Green Cay. Lincoln sparrow, also only on the count for the sixth time. It's a tough bird. It is here every year and usually out west, but it's also shown up at Loxahatchee before, and we've had it on the count, as I mentioned, 5 times before. This time, it's interesting because we have not just one bird, and maybe not just 2 birds, but 3 Lincoln sparrows likely seen on count day. Rob and Sandy Harlan got the first one there along the Marsh Trail that most people knew about, and they got it in the morning. Paul Gourdet saw it not long after that. Later in the afternoon, Paul went back out to look for a different bird and got this photo here of the Lincoln sparrow. And he believes that this is very likely a different bird than what he had seen in the morning, and all just along the Marsh Trail. And then Kenny, Kyle, Justin, and Kat got their Lincoln sparrow up on the tree line trail north of Lee Road at Loxahatchee. So very likely three birds, definitely two birds there at Loxahatchee, and only the sixth time on our count. So another, just an indicator of what a good day it was for us to get not one, but two or three Lincoln sparrows, a really tough bird for our count from the get-go. Another good bird here, blue grosbeak, the seventh time on our count. Paul Gourdet got it, and so did Rob and Sandy Harlan. Blue grosbeak is in our county every year, especially out in the western areas. But statewide, it's a very tough bird on the Christmas counts. Our Christmas count coordinators for the state require documentation of blue grosbeak no matter where it's found. And it's no longer a write-up bird or a documentation bird for an eBird, but for the Christmas counts, it is just rare enough that our state compilers require documentation. And Paul got a great shot here of the blue grosbeak, so good job there. And Paul also got the shot on the right too, white-crowned sparrow. Paul went back out at 2:30 in the afternoon to Loxahatchee. The white-crowned sparrow had been seen also recently, but they missed it in the morning. So Paul went back out in the afternoon. Now 2:30 in the afternoon is not ideal sparrow time, in my opinion, and I think most birders would agree. It's generally not the best time, but Paul got this white-crowned sparrow to pop up, and it's a great bird on our count, just the eighth time on our CBC. So good job by Paul Gourdet, a fantastic photographer. Here's another excellent bird, and only the ninth time on our Christmas bird count, reddish egret. Captain Marcus Kelly of Palm Beach Pelagics and Joshua Rager went out on Marcus's boat on count day. We had seen that, and Marcus had told me that there were a lot of birds using these new islands that Palm Beach County Environmental Resources Management is constructing south of the Lake Worth Bridge. And I happened to be out on Marcus's boat a week before count day, and sure enough, there were a lot of shorebirds out there. The reddish egret here was out there. This is a beautiful example of a reddish egret. A lot of times the reddish egrets are younger birds that don't have this dramatic color, and there's also the white phase too, that the white morph, I should say, and this is really a striking bird, and they got some bad hair shots here of this reddish egret on count day, both the guys, and a great bird. And really, I tried to see if I could see it from the barrier island, from the pathway down in Palm Beach there, and I was able to see it scope view, but it was not a good look, and certainly I couldn't get excellent photos like these. A reddish egret, great bird, the clown prince of birding. It has this comical and very active, dramatic feeding style, and what it does with its hair or its feathers, with the bad hair, I mean, that's part of it too. That's their feeding strategy, and just a great bird. Not very common. We get them every year here in Palm Beach County, but tough to get on our count. So great job by Marcus and Joshua. We talk about citizen science. This is a great example of why we do the bird count every Christmas season. Cape May warblers, only the ninth time on our count. And we got 8 different birds, which is really kind of remarkable. Last year we got 5. So it looks like there could be a trend going on here. The eBird reviewers stopped requiring documentation for Cape May warblers in winter because they'd become more common in recent years. And this, apparently, what we're doing here on the CBC also helps bolster what we're seeing in the field. And here we have, we submit results, and we have this kept in the record so we can document what's going on here. Now, is this just a temporary trend? This happens a lot with birds. Sometimes their their numbers are increasing for a few years and then they fall back off. We'll see what happens with the Cape May warblers. When I started birding back in the late 80s, early 90s, I really started birding a lot here. And this was a great bird in wintertime. You used to think of Cape May warbler as being something you'd see in Broward County or Miami-Dade County, and very rare here in Palm Beach County in the winter. But things are changing, and we had 8 of them. It's just astounding, really. And so these are excellent photos here from Lawrence Gardenhire, Sherry Spitzer, and Tom Smith of the Cape May warblers they saw. And there were 3 other teams that got Cape May warblers as well. And 2 of the teams had 2 different birds. So something's going on here, and we can help document that on the CBC. So great job by everybody. Another great bird, we saw the Western tanager earlier, and this is another beautiful tanager, summer tanagers. The photo on the left, Peter Lopez got on the team along with Doreen LaPage and Bob Dieterich. That was in the Lake Charleston area. And then we mentioned Kyle earlier in the day, and here Kyle spent a long day at Loxahatchee, and he went home and kept birding, bless his heart. And here he got this right outside his home. He got this beautiful summer tanager and documented it. This is only the 11th time on our CBC, and 2 birds here. Again, kind of an indication of just what a good day it was overall. So great work here. We did do very well this year, as I mentioned. And in fact, it's the largest species total since 1977. And if you look over at the table on the right, you can see down at the bottom, this year we had tentatively 156 species, which is very good for us. You can see what we've done in the last 4 years prior. 2021, we had 146 species total. And that's about what we generally had done going back the prior 10 to 15 years. 140s, we hit 150 a couple times before that, but in recent years. Back in 1977, we hit 155 species. And so the 156 that we got this year is better than that. And we're going back to the olden times with our count total this time, which is pretty good. And I have stars there by 156 because it's very likely that we'll increase that number by 1 or 2, maybe even 3. So we are really just an incredible showing. And over at the right, you can see the number of participants, which does have a bearing on, the success of your count. But our participant numbers are about what they've been, in recent years. And I've got stars there by the species total and the participant number, because those numbers could change as we go through the documentation and as we go through all the lists and try to sort everything out, which we are still doing. So those numbers could change. And species count is great. And this is wonderful. It's a great testament to our birders who got out on count day and worked really hard and put in long hours in most cases and did quite well. However, that's not the whole story. On count day, I can only speak for myself. The birding seemed pretty slow, even though it was a beautiful day. It didn't seem like there were a lot of birds around. And I've had other people tell me the same thing. Now, out at Loxahatchee, they were busy. They had rarities and they had excellent birds. But for most of us and most of the circle, it seemed a little slow. And does that mean that there are few birds overall? Most likely. And will that show up in our total number of birds seen? Very likely. Last year, we actually had more birds total than we had for many years. And that was due to the one team out near the refuge that captured the grackles flying out of Loxahatchee Refuge early in the morning. And they just had some massive numbers, which can happen because the grackles roost there on the refuge. And then this team captured them flying out in the morning. And so that boosted our overall bird numbers, but I fear that our totals are down and overall the numbers are down. And I mentioned this here, the next line, numbers for some formerly common species will remain low. And maybe that's a given in our current time, but some species, I'll just mention a couple. Northern house wren used to be, any place you went, there were lots of house wrens. But of course, as our area develops, our count circle is quite developed. You aren't going to expect to see nearly as many house wrens, and we don't. So those numbers are really low. Savannah sparrow is another species that we used to have lots of Savannah sparrows, a lot of places. But now we really have Loxahatchee Refuge and maybe a couple other spots out west of 441. Really the only place we can get Savannah sparrows anymore. So these numbers are going to stay low, even though we feel good about 156 species this year. That's just part of the story. Get back to some more birds here.
Yeah.
On the left here, we got black scoter. This is from Tom Smith out at Gulfstream Park, the 14th count appearance. And it wasn't a great day for sea watching because the winds were kind of in the wrong direction and they were light. But yet, Tom, by sitting down at the ocean, got these black scoters flying by. Also, Chuck Hignite and Marcia Yipe on the barrier island also had a single black scoter along the intracoastal, which is entirely possible. And so good job by both of these teams getting a bird that we don't get every year. And this late in the season and 14th time on our count. So good job by the two teams there. Over on the right, this is an interesting story here. Clapper rail, very secretive bird overall. Inhabits our coastal mangroves and a great bird. It reappeared on our count 3 years ago, and it had not been seen in our count for, I think it was 3 years ago, for 40 years. We used to have them back in, I think 1980 was the last time until it reappeared in 22. And great work by the team of Doreen, Bob, and Peter back 3 years ago. And this year, the week before the count, there were a couple that were down at the Oyer Boat Ramp Park, or Harvey Oyer Park in Boynton Beach. And they were there at low tide and got pictures of a clapper rail down around the mangroves which surround the boat ramps there. It's not a big mangrove area there at the park, but they found this clapper rail. So I let our team of Scott and Dina Berglund and Adam and Doran Amer, they were supposed to cover this territory. And I let them know that, all right, this clapper rail, what are the chances of you getting a clapper rail on count day? But, it's there potentially, or it was there the one day. So on count day, and Scott and Dina and Adam and Doran did not know that Marcus and Joshua out on the Palm Beach Pelagics boat, they were setting off from Oyer Park in the morning, first thing, and they got the clapper rail right while it was still dark, and they were leaving to go out and cover the intracoastal waterway for us. They documented the clapper rail down there. Well, I didn't have a chance to tell Scott and Dina, Adam and Doran, but so they were there. They went there at low tide, like they had planned to do. And what do you know? They got the clapper rail. And actually, Dina got this incredible cell phone shot of a clapper rail. So that makes it all the more special. It's not only a tough bird to see and a secretive bird, but here, this bird is at least somewhat cooperative. And Dina got a great cell phone shot of a clapper rail, and just the 15th time on our count, and only the second time in 44 years. So with stories like that, I just want to thank all of our counters as we look at this yellow-throated vireo photographed by Sue Young. Linda McCandless and Sue covered a private country club, as they've been doing the last few years. And you never know what you'll find in there. And sure enough, here's a yellow-throated vireo. Just the 15th time on our CBC, we get yellow-throated vireos in our in our area in the wintertime, but never huge numbers. They're regular. We expect them, but tougher on our count. And so Sue did a nice job here, and Linda did a nice job getting this for our count this year. And everybody worked really hard, and I am so thankful to all of our counters for doing such a great job. I also want to thank the Audubon Everglades Board for supporting the CBC and providing a meal at the end of count day. We had a wonderful time at our compilation in Lake Worth Beach. At the end of count day, we got a chance to eat great food and also talk about what we had seen during the day on our count and our counting efforts. So thank you again to the Audubon Everglades Board. I want to thank immediate past President Scott Zucker, who's leading the meeting as he always does. And he had family in town and he managed to squeeze in counting for us. And so I really appreciate that, Scott. Also, I want to thank AE Executive Director Sabina Begg and her staff for their support and encouragement. And they are great to work with. Thank you so much, Sabina. I'll also want to recognize our CBC planning team. It's informal, very informal, but we do talk and we run things by each other. And I run things by Doreen and Linda all the time. And Doreen also put together the compilation she has the last few years. She's organized that and has done a great job. Doreen LaPage, thank you so much. And Linda McCandless, thank you so much. Gail Silverblatt, who does a great job organizing her sector over there in Lake Worth Beach. And Gail always has great ideas as well. Thank you so much. Bob also with great ideas, a longtime compiler up north. And so his input is valuable as well. So I want to thank all of you. And it was a great count. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So thank you, Chuck. It's time for questions. That was a great presentation, and I was so pleased to hear of all those very cool birds that we're seeing. And also it's remarkable that we're actually seeing more species. I don't know if that's because our birders are getting so good or because the species are showing up because of perhaps climate change. I know it's not because of the increased development that we're having, that's for sure. But it's wonderful that so many species were seen this year. So if you have a question for Chuck, please put it in the chat and we'll ask them. Helen Scott Lawrence go wonderful report. Thank you, Chuck. Jeannie Mauser says very nice report, Chuck. Thank you to the CBC team and all the counters. I hope to join you next year. So does anyone have any questions? I don't see any questions in the chat. That Chuck covered so incredibly well that nobody has a question.
I will just add one thing, Scott. Kevin, before the meeting officially started, we were having our informal chat, and Kevin
Right.
Baker, who was on one of our account teams and is an excellent photographer, he had a photo of a merlin that was an excellent photo. And, many years I'll have time to show off some of the raptors that are just always very dramatic. We had a bunch of good raptors on the count. We had snailkite. We don't always get snailkite. We had broad-winged hawk. We don't always get broad-winged hawk, and several teams got short-tailed hawk. But as an indication of just what a good day it was, at least for the rarer birds, that I didn't have time. So so that just shows you what overall it was a very good day, and the weather really helped. But like you say, Scott, we have very skilled birders, and they're very enthusiastic, and that is I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's so great. Lillian Maniscalco says, "Great job, everyone." Leslie Siegel says, "Super, thank you." So, Chuck, you mentioned that the overall bird numbers were down. I mean, species count was up, but bird numbers were down. How far down?
I don't know yet. I That's one of the things that we'll be looking at. We get people sometimes count close to each other in cases of like turkey vultures. The turkey vultures fly over
Of
big
course.
chunks of the count circle. So I usually have to go through and sort out, try to figure out, do my best to figure out, if there's any overlap on the counting, and there usually is at least some. So it's hard. I can't say. That's one of the last things I do is to try and analyze the overall numbers. But overall, it just seems slow. It's just anecdotally, I would say numbers seem down, but who knows? I mean, with a species count like this, you know, and good weather day, I would hope maybe that the numbers wouldn't be down or down significantly, but it's hard to say. It really is
Great.
at this point, anyway.
Monica Weller says, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you next year. I already put it into my calendar to register with a bird counter next year. It was great to see so many new birds, but sad to hear the numbers are declining. Autumn Coyote says, and thank you, Chuck, for being so encouraging to novice birders as well. I love to see everyone learning from each other. And I don't know if people know this, but Chuck often will go out with new participants to different areas to show them the area. So Chuck will, prior to count day, take people out or meet people out at the area and spend time with them there so that they can learn about the habitat that they're birding in. And thank you so much for doing that, Chuck. I know how much time that takes uh, from your life. So thank you, Chuck.
And Autumn mentioned, you know, uh, people who are newer, and I led the afternoon team at Wakota after completing the one area in the morning or up through midday, and we did have a couple newer birders there on our afternoon team, and it was great to see uh, a young man in high school, and then then we have our longtime birder Brian Hope, who was my mentor for many years, and he's out still counting, and that's great to see. So this is a lifelong enjoyment for many of us, and yeah, it's great.
Phyllis Rain says, excellent shot of birds we don't see in Florida, or at least we don't see often. Great job, everyone. I look forward to documenting more of the many wonderful events that we do. This is Damien Victoria, who was our communications intern, saying that. So if there's no more questions, Chuck, thank you so much for all you do and all you've done for Audubon Everglades and for the birds of South Florida in terms of citizen science for so many years, because as many people know, the efforts that birders take when they are birding to document their results and put them into eBirds have resulted in over 1,250 studies already. Those studies then get translated into conservation efforts. So these counts are so important, and the documentation of birds that we see are so important because they help conservation efforts all over North America and South America as well.
Yeah.
So thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. I guess that's it for the Christmas bird count. Until next year. Let me just share my last slide again. There we go. So it takes a great team to help bring you these virtual presentations. So thank you to all of them. And we can't wait to see you on February 3rd, 2026, when we'll be hosting Dr. Dustin Partridge, Director of Conservation Science at New York City Bird Alliance, when he will present on how to save 1 billion birds. Stop window collisions. Good night. Thank you for joining us this evening. Enjoy the new year and see you all next month. And we hope to see you at some of our many upcoming events. Be sure to come out and say hi. We would love to see you. Take care, everybody. Good night.